Welcome back to the channel, USA Coins 69, and exciting stories in American numismatics. We're talking about a coin that millions of people recognize, one that's been spent without a second thought on snacks, arcades, and laundromats, the Washington quarter dollar dated 1965. At first glance, it may look like a simple, common quarter you could find in any handful of change, but don't let appearances fool you. Some versions of this seemingly ordinary coin are so rare and so valuable that they could literally change your life if you happen to spot one. So buckle up, turn on your brightest light, grab your magnifying glass, and let's uncover exactly why the 1965 Washington quarter might be worth a staggering fortune. The Washington quarter has been a part of American culture ever since it was introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The front of the coin proudly displays his classic, noble portrait symbolizing leadership and national pride. On the reverse side is the fierce American bald eagle, wings stretched wide, perched atop a bundle of arrows with olive branches just beneath, representing the nation's fierce resolve for protection balanced with peace. For decades, these coins were made from a beautiful 90% silver alloy, but everything changed in 1965. The year 1965 marked a turning point in American coinage history. Because silver had risen dramatically in value, the United States Mint decided to stop making quarters out of silver entirely and switched to a copper-nickel clad composition. This key transition makes the 1965 quarter a fascinating target for collectors, because while most of them were struck in the new copper-nickel metal, a tiny number of experimental and error pieces were still accidentally struck using leftover silver planchets from previous years. These rare misstruck coins are what can make a 1965 quarter incredibly valuable in today's market. But how do you tell if you've got one of these rare treasures versus just another regular pocket quarter? The first giveaway is the color of the edge. Normal 1965 copper-nickel clad quarters show a distinctive copper-colored edge sandwiched between two silver-colored layers. But the rare leftover silver planchet quarters will appear to have a completely solid silver edge with zero trace of copper, just like quarters minted before 1964. The second key is the weight. A copper-nickel 1965 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. But one accidentally struck on a silver planchet will weigh closer to 6.25 grams, so a precision scale becomes your best friend. These accidental 40% silver or even 90% silver 1965 quarters almost never surface, but when they do, they make headlines. Beyond metal composition, there are dramatic minting errors that can ramp up a 1965 quarter's value as well. Look for off-center strikes where the design seems shifted to one side leaving a blank crescent-shaped patch, double die images where the lettering or date appears slightly doubled under magnification, clipped planchet errors where it seems as if a chunk of the coin is missing from the rim, and broad strikes with no clear rim or reading. Even within perfectly ordinary copper-nickel strikes, coins that have somehow survived in flawless mint state condition, never circulated, never scratched, with sharp, frosty details, can sell for jaw-dropping sums. So how do you start your hunt? Take your 1965 quarters and study them under a strong white light. Observe the color of the edge. Do you see that copper band or is the edge a smooth silver tone all the way across? Test the weight using a jeweler's digital scale. Then closely examine George Washington's cheek, jaw, and hair detail. A valuable mint state example will show every strand in his hair sharply and no flattening on the high points. Flip the coin and check the eagle's chest feathers and wings. These should be distinct and bold for a high-grade piece. Now take a magnifier and scan for any doubling on the lettering of "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 1965. Also carefully check around the entire rim for clips or unusually thick or thin areas. Coin collectors around the world spend entire lifetimes searching through rolls from banks, buying estate sale jars of change, and even metal detecting in old public places, all hoping to stumble upon one of these rare 1965 Washington quarter varieties. And believe it or not, lucky finds have happened from the most unexpected sources: inside couch cushions, behind washing machines, in old lunchboxes, and even as loose change given out at gas stations. That's the beauty of coin collecting. You never know when fortune is going to land in the palm of your hand. Today, we're focusing on a coin that you've probably handled countless times without even thinking about it, the Washington quarter dollar from the year 1973. This quarter may look just like any other coin you might pull from your change jar, but hidden among these everyday pieces are some truly extraordinary rarities worth far more than their 25-cent face value. So grab your magnifying glass, get your lighting just right, and let's uncover the mystery and potential hidden fortune of the 1973 Washington quarter. Our story begins with the legacy of this iconic American coin. First released in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the Washington quarter has remained a beloved symbol of American heritage. His bold portrait on the front of the coin represents strength, independence, and honorable leadership. On the reverse stands a majestic bald eagle with wings spread wide, arrows clutched in its talons to symbolize the nation's strength and its olive branches beneath to represent peace. By 1973, the Washington quarter had become a fundamental part of daily American life, tossed into shopping carts, laundromats, and vending machines. Yet hiding among the huge number of coins minted that year are rare special pieces and remarkable mint-bearer coins worth a shockingly high amount of money. The first clue that your quarter could be valuable lies in the mint mark, a tiny little letter stamped right behind Washington's ponytail. If you see AD, your coin came from the Denver Mint. AP or no mint mark at all means it originated from Philadelphia. And the truly coveted S mint mark points to San Francisco, where beautiful proof coins were struck for collectors with mirror-like polish and razor-sharp detail. These proof coins were never meant to circulate, so if you find one in ordinary change and it's still in pristine mint condition, you might already be holding something special. But even more thrilling are the rare mint-bearer coins from 1973, accidental misprints and mistakes that happened during production, transforming an ordinary quarter into a unique and highly prized treasure. These minting errors can take many fascinating forms. A double die error happens when the coin design is impressed twice at different angles, creating a faint doubled appearance in the lettering or numbers. Look especially carefully at phrases like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date itself. An off-center strike is when the coin wasn't perfectly aligned during minting, leaving a blank or crescent-shaped portion on one side. These errors are extremely eye-catching and rare. Then there are the jaw-dropping wrong, planchet coins, where the quarter was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a nickel, dime, or even a foreign coin. These come out weighing differently, sometimes smaller or thicker, with discoloration or odd metals, and because every one of these error coins is unique, collectors fight to own them and pay huge sums when they appear on the market. So how do you determine whether your 1973 quarter could be one of these valuable rare finds? Step 1. Check condition. The coin must be as close as possible to mint state, showing no signs of circulation wear. Hold your quarter under a bright light and look at Washington's cheekbones, jawline, and hair. Do the high points still show crisp definition, or are they flattened and dull? A truly valuable coin will sparkle with original mint luster, the kind of shine that reflects light in dazzling cartwheel patterns when you tilt it. Next, turn to the reverse and inspect each feather on the eagle's wings. You should be able to see sharp, detailed sculpturing if the coin hasn't been worn. Keep a special eye on the rim and reading. A valuable piece still has sharply defined edges rather than smooth, worn-down ridges. Once you're confident your coin is high grade, take out a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass and search for minting errors. Look closely for doubling in any of the letters or numbers, check for odd shifts where the design might be off-center, and examine the rim for any irregular cuts or clipped planchets. If you have access to a precision scale, weigh your coin. A standard 1973 Clad quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. Anything significantly heavier or lighter might suggest a wrong, planchet strike that could be worth a fortune. Use digital calipers to measure the diameter if you suspect your coin looks abnormally small or large. Collectors across the country spend hours searching bank boxes, coin rolls, flea market stashes, and old jars of change inherited from grandparents, all hoping they'll spot that one magical 1973 Washington quarter that stands out from the rest. These discoveries have turned everyday people into overnight success stories. So what might look like a boring old quarter lying in a tin box could actually be your ticket to something truly unbelievable, as long as you know how to look for the right characteristics. Today, prepare yourself for another jaw-dropping adventure into the incredible world of rare American coins. We're focusing on a coin so common that most people spend it without a second thought, yet hiding among these ordinary pieces are shocking rarities worth a small fortune. I'm talking about the Washington quarter dollar from the year 1983, a coin that has rattled through pockets, jingled in vending machines, and sat quietly at the bottom of countless jars. But if you find the right one, your life could change dramatically. Grab your magnifying glass and brace yourself, because we're about to uncover the unbelievable secrets behind the 1983 Washington quarter and why you might be holding a treasure in your hand without even realizing it. The Washington quarter first appeared in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of America's first president, George Washington. A man whose courage and leadership helped lay the foundation of the United States. His proud profile, prominently displayed on the front of the coin, stands as a symbol of freedom, strength, and history. On the back of the coin sits the majestic American bald eagle, wings spread in a show of power, gripping arrows of defense and olive branches of peace, visually representing the bravery and values of the American spirit. By 1983, this design had become iconic and heavily circulated. Coins from that year were used in daily transactions from coast to coast, and most were worn down through decades of use. But among those millions minted, a very small number of extraordinary examples were struck with rare qualities, mint state perfection, or shocking error types that make collectors pay unbelievable sums. To begin your hunt, look for the mint mark, located right behind Washington's ponytail. A P tells you the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, while a D reveals it was struck in Denver. And if you spot an S, that indicates a beautiful proof coin made in San Francisco, a coin struck multiple times using polished dies for collectors. These proof coins were not intended to be spent in everyday transactions, so finding one in your change that has survived in dazzling condition is incredibly rare and valuable. But the most exciting pieces are those with sensational mint errors, accidental mistakes that happened during production and turned a normal-looking quarter into a jaw-dropping, one-of-a-kind collectible. Some of the most valuable 1983 Washington quarters were struck with extraordinary errors. Off-center strikes occur when the planchet is not properly aligned and the design appears shifted, leaving a portion blank. Double die errors happen when the die impresses the coin twice, slightly misaligned, producing a ghost-like doubling effect in the date, lettering, or even Washington's face. Then there's the legendary wrong planchet error, where the quarter may have been struck on a blank intended for a nickel, dime, or even foreign coin, resulting in the wrong diameter, weight, or metal composition. These accidental creations are one-of-a-kind masterpieces, especially when found in uncirculated, mint-state condition. Collectors around the world will pay fortunes for these because they are practically impossible to replicate. So how exactly do you spot one of these rare treasures? Start by checking condition. Under bright light, a valuable coin should still shine with its original mint luster, the glossy, frosty glint it had the day it was made. Look carefully at Washington's hair. Can you see every strand clearly etched? Is his cheek perfectly smooth and free from wear? A truly valuable 1983 Washington quarter will show razor-sharp details both on the obverse and reverse. Now turn the coin over and focus on the eagle. Every feather on its wings should look bold and crisp. The arrows and olive branches should show strong sculpted detail, not the flattened mush that comes from years of circulation. Then check the edge. A mint-state coin still has sharp, well-defined ridges called reading. Once you found a coin in incredible condition, it's time to bring out your jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass. Examine the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust, and the date, 1983, looking for any doubled lines or shadows that might indicate a double die error. Check for strange shifts or missing design parts that might suggest off-center strikes or clipped planchets. And if you have a precision scale, weigh the coin. A standard Clad quarter should weigh approximately 5.67 grams. Anything significantly above or below that number may signal you found a rare wrong planchet strike. These tiny imperfections can add up to monstrous value, and the excitement of discovering one is something collectors dream about. People have found rare and valuable 1983 quarters in the most surprising places, tucked in old jars, forgotten in dresser drawers, handed back in change at fast food restaurants, or hiding in inherited collections that sat undisturbed for years. That's the real magic of coin collecting. Anyone, absolutely anyone, can stumble upon a coin worth a staggering amount of money if they simply take the time to look more closely. So before you spend that plain old quarter dated 1983 without thinking twice, stop and give it a serious inspection. Today we're zooming in on one of the most iconic coins in circulation, the Washington quarter dollar from the year 1979. Most people would barely even look at this coin before spending it on a snack or dropping it into a jar. But what if I told you that some of these quarters are so rare and unique that they're worth more than a brand new luxury car? Get ready, because you're about to discover just how valuable the 1979 Washington quarter can truly be, and what key hints to look for before you ever spend another quarter again. The Washington quarter made its debut back in 1932, honoring the 200th birthday of America's first president, George Washington. Year after year the design has remained a classic symbol of leadership and American patriotism. On the front you'll find Washington's proud and noble profile, while the reverse displays the majestic American bald eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bunch of arrows, representing national strength, and with branches of olive underneath to symbolize America's desire for peace. By 1979, these coins were a familiar sight across the country, jingling in pockets from coast to coast, but while millions were minted that year, only a tiny fraction were created with exceptional qualities or dramatic mint errors, and those are the coins worth hunting for. The treasure hunt begins with a small but powerful clue, the mint mark, located on the front of the coin just behind Washington's ponytail. A little d means your coin was minted in Denver, P or no mark means Philadelphia, and S tells you it came from San Francisco, where gorgeous proof coins were struck with mirror-like surfaces and frosted lettering. These San Francisco coins were specially made for collectors and never meant to enter normal circulation, so if you find one in public use and in perfect condition, you may already be onto something big. But the real excitement lies in those quarters struck with minting errors, accidental mishaps that turn a regular coin into a unique numismatic gem worth astounding sums to dedicated collectors. Some of the most valuable 1979 Washington quarters were created when something went unexpectedly wrong at the mint. There are off-center strikes, where the coin blank slides off its proper position and the design is printed shifted or incomplete, extremely rare and wildly collectible. Then there are double die coins, where the die hits twice in a slightly different position and leaves doubled images in the lettering or date. Some 1979 quarters are even known to have been struck on the wrong planchet, like a foreign coin blank, creating bizarre color changes, lighter or heavier weights, and unusual sizes. These error coins are not only rare, each one is truly one of a kind, and collectors are willing to pay enormous amounts for them, especially when they remain in solid mint state condition. To find out if your 1979 Washington quarter might be one of these valuable treasures, start with the basics. Hold it under a bright light and look for a strong original shine, true mint luster that shimmers across the surface. Examine Washington's hair and cheek for precision. A high-grade coin will show every strand and curve with sharpness. If the design looks worn smooth or dull, it probably spent too much time in circulation to reach top value. Flip the coin over and study the eagle. The feathers should be crisp, clean, and bold. Next, check the edges. A valuable example will still have sharp, even ridges known as reading, not worn-down rims. Once it passes those tests, bring out a jeweler's loupe and search for unusual details, doubled lettering, misaligned rims, weird missing pieces, or unusual strikes. If you also weigh your coin, a lighter or heavier reading than the standard 5.67 grams could mean a rare wrong planchet strike. Collectors, enthusiasts, and even ordinary people have found extraordinary treasures in the most unexpected places: bags of coins from the bank, jars on top shelves, estate sales, and even handfuls of change from daily shopping. That's what makes hunting coins so exciting, because anyone, at any time, could be seconds away from discovering a life-changing piece hiding in plain sight. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and potentially valuable quarters ever minted by the United States. This little coin has been casually tossed into pocket change, slipped into vending machines, and forgotten at the bottom of old jars for decades, yet every so often, an extraordinary version of it appears and leaves collectors speechless. I'm talking about the Washington quarter dollar from the year 1966, a coin that looks harmlessly ordinary to most people but, under the right circumstances, could secretly be worth an incredible fortune. Get ready to explore every detail, every clue, and every hidden error that might just turn your next handful of change into a life-changing discovery. The Washington quarter has been a proud American symbol ever since its debut in 1932 to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday. On the obverse, his bold profile stands tall and timeless, a tribute to leadership, strength, and independence. Flip the coin over to the reverse and you'll find the powerful bald eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, the perfect visual balance of America's readiness to defend and desire for peace. The design is iconic, but what makes the 1966 version particularly intriguing is the timing. Just 1 year earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint made a historic change, switching from 90% silver coinage to a new copper, nickel-clad composition. During this major transition, production was rushed, mint marks were dropped altogether, and some surprising mint errors slipped through the cracks. This recipe of historical timing and production issues makes the 1966 quarter one of the most exciting coins to hunt for. Because 1966 quarters do not feature any mint marks, collectors have to examine the coins more closely, focusing on quality of strike, composition, and potential minting errors. And that's where the magic truly lies. Among the countless millions produced, only a handful are known to exhibit extreme minting errors or remain in astonishing mint state condition, and those are the quarters that can be worth a small fortune today. Start your hunt by checking the basics. Condition is everything. A valuable quarter from this year should still have its original, crisp mint luster shining across the surface. Tilt the coin under bright light and look for that shimmering swirl. Examine Washington's hair. Are the strands sharp and fully defined? Does his cheek still have a smooth, untouched domed shape? Wear from circulation will flatten these details, reducing value. Flip to the reverse and check the eagle's feathers. A high-grade specimen will show each feather carved cleanly rather than rounded and worn. Look at the rim. Can you still see sharp, even ridges all the way around, or are they smoothed out from use? A coin with powerful details and unbroken luster could be a mint state survivor, a great start, but things get even more exciting when it comes to rare mint errors. Among the most valuable are double die errors, where the die struck the coin twice slightly misaligned, creating a shadowy doubled image in the date, lettering, or even Washington's face. Then there are off-center strikes, where the design is printed off to one side, leaving a section of the coin oddly blank. These are extremely eye-catching and rare. Another possibility is the wrong planchet error, where an experimental leftover blank, even a silver one from 1964, was fed into the machine by accident, resulting in a 1966 quarter made from the wrong metal and weighing differently than standard Clad coins. Finding such an oddball coin could mean you've stumbled on a piece worth a fortune. Keep a jeweler's loupe handy for close inspection, and use a precise scale. A regular copper, nickel Clad quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams, but a wrong planchet error could be heavier or lighter. Collectors all across America have been shocked to discover rare and valuable 1,966 quarters in rolls from banks, jars inherited from relatives, old change buried in dresser drawers, and even inside piggy banks from childhood. Stories continue to emerge of people exchanging coins at supermarkets and unknowingly receiving quarters worth thousands of dollars in change. That's the magic of coin hunting. Nobody knows where the next treasure is waiting, and sometimes the most valuable discoveries come from the most unexpected places. So before you ever spend a Washington quarter dated 1966, pause and examine it closely. Study the details carefully under bright light, weigh it, compare the edge, and never overlook an unusual feature. Because if you are fortunate enough to uncover a perfectly preserved mint, state or rare error version of the 1966 Washington quarter dollar, the value of that small coin could soar all the way up to an astounding $92,000.